Sort of annoys me, right? You can't put a plus in a damn web browser, but I get the concept, right? Which is you have your normal web offering, and then you have plus, which is the bells and the whistles and bonuses. I don't know. Maybe it's all marketing. I just when you create something new, sometimes like don't call it something new and stupid. I.e., this should be the art business webinar because everyone knows what a webinar is. But some genius, who was probably me, called it the art business workshop. But I want to show you this because regardless of if anyone ever used it as a service, it reflects our most up-to-date thinking and the path that you guys all need to take and all need to understand, which is like really, really important if you want to make it in this business. And so I'm going to get my fat head out of the way as I explain this. I'm going to get here. And I'm going to zoom in. Don't worry, so you guys can see. So we call this thing, okay, how do I zoom in? Oh, there we go. All right. We call this thing the Marketing Assistant Lite, right? And it's like a set of steps that you need to take until you get your business humming and where it is. And there's no skipping steps. There's no skipping steps. And this applies to 100% of you, whether you have your own websites, doesn't matter if you ever do business with us, right? Step number 1, is the website live? No. Okay, what will our service do? Our service will get you live. Okay, website's live, yes. Does the website meet best practices? If the answer to that is no, we will help you meet those best practices. This is what the best practices are when it pertains to having a website. You need to have price points on your website under $100. Okay. You need to have price points from $100 to $1,000. You need to have price points above $1,000. And this is as true for the folks that are like on the low end of the scale, like Patrick, all my items are under $100 or up to $500. Okay. You need to go higher. For the people that are higher, you need to go lower. Okay. And it doesn't matter what the it is. If you don't have these inexpensive offerings, then there are a whole bunch of people that are on the lower end of the socioeconomic scale, okay, that follow you, that don't have a ton of money, that are not ready to buy one of your originals right now. They don't have anything to buy. They like you. They're following you. They're interested in what you're doing. And they want to buy something now. And if you can't sell them a calendar that sits on their wall for the next year, it wouldn't sit on the wall for 3 years because it's a calendar, or, an iPhone case or a mug or whatever, like the socioeconomic thing is not fixed. There are people that are living in their mother's basement right now, okay, on their first job that really like what you're doing. And you're like, sorry, my prints start at $800 and my originals are $5,000. They can't afford that right now. But if you can sell them something, an iPhone case, I'm not on video, I'm holding a mug, or a mug or whatever else, or a small print, guess what? They buy something. 3 years later, they move out of mom's basement. I hope it's less than 3 years, that would suck. But a few years later, they move out of mom's basement. And then the next thing you know, they're like, I need some art for my new apartment. And they need to be thinking of you, okay? You need a combination of open editions, limited editions, and originals. There are ways to do this if you're a photographer. There are ways to do this if you're an artist. You need to activate merchandise, okay? And the merchandise is what really helps you get like the cheaper price points, right? And by the way, when you're in the hardware store and you're walking through the hardware store, the electronics store, or whatever else, and you're in line, and there's all that tchotchke on the right-hand side and the left-hand side, cell phone cases and water and chips and duct tape and this, that, and the other. There's a reason that stuff is there because people buy it and it increases the AOV, right? So you need to have some of these things. You just do. You need to have order bumps and one-click upsells. I don't want to bore you with this. These are the names the internet came up with, and they annoy the hell out of me because there's no way to tell. I don't even know what the difference between the two is, and I'm an e-commerce marketer. But what just quickly, order bump is I come to your site, right? And Shay's got stuff on his wall. I come to Shay's website. I grab one of those things off the wall. I add it to my cart, right? And then right before I check out, it says, hey, do you want to add this mug to your website? Do you want to add this mug to your order for an extra $25, right? And so that's an order bump, okay? Then let's say I put the credit card details in, I check out. Then you get redirected to a page. Thank you for your order. Do you want to add this mug for an extra $20, right? Or whatever it is. Those two things help you get more money out of each order, okay? So stay with me on my map here. This is the newest thinking, okay? I'm giving you guys the newest thinking, which is awesome. Once that's done, your website now meets best practices. And by the way, if you're already kicking butt as an artist, you have total flexibility on this. But if you're not kicking butt online as an artist, you need that, period. Full stop. That little grid. It's important. Next, Do the social media profiles meet best practices? Okay. And this is your Facebook and your Instagram page. And the issue with your Facebook and your Instagram page is, let's just say I get into your ecosystem. Okay. I've just figured you out for the first time. I just followed Beverly because she was on this video and she had a cat wandering around in the background. And I have cats. I like cats. I don't have cats. I have dogs, but I still like cats. Instantaneously, when I'm deciding whether or not she's a legit artist, whether or not she's deciding, whether or not I'm deciding, do I want to buy something from her, I instantaneously go to her social profile. It's no different than that guy who's spouting off at the bar here or there, and then you go and look him up on LinkedIn, right? It's the credit check. It's the credit check of your industry. And I want to come to your Instagram profile and I want to come to your Facebook profile, and that thing better be up to snuff, right? You better have your profiles dialed in on Instagram. There better be story highlights. There better be regular posting that is not just 2D stuff time after time after time. So your social profiles need to be dialed in, okay? So social profiles not dialed in, no design issues. That's what we call glow ups. Low followers, okay? Also a credibility barrier, right? And I think you need to have a minimum of 250 followers on Instagram, and I'll get to that. Obviously, I want you to have more, but I think it's the most important platform. You need to have that. And so we have a service that gives you those things, okay? Then let's just say we get that all done. Then we get into MVT. We call MVT, this is a stupid startup buzzword, but it's true, minimum viable traction. Do you have $1,000 in total sales directly from your website, okay? And what that question is attempting to ask is the subject matter that you're attempting to sell. Do we feel like there is a big enough market out there for you to take that 1,000 and turn it into 100,000 or 50,000, right? If you do, great. Then we have a marketing calendar that tells you what to do 365 days a year. Go follow it. Okay. What if you don't? No. Do you have a minimum viable audience? Okay. You need a minimum of 250 emails. Not emails are all created equal, right? And these numbers are not perfect. This is just like our baseline. Do you have the 250 on the social platform? If you do not, then we put you into a lead generation service, right? In the lead generation service, we have a bunch of tricks and marketing gimmicks. They are gimmicks. I created them. I can still call them gimmicks. Okay, they're good. They work. They're effective at capturing emails. It's increased giveaways. We have these tricks with charity partnerships. We encourage you to in-person shows, use QR codes, get all your family and friends and everyone in there. Once that's sorted, then we complete a 30-day test, and we take your subject material and we have you essentially run through all of these various different selling exercises for 30 days, okay? So for 30 days, and you're having flash sales and you're having the bathroom art sale. We have all these various different sales that you run. And the whole thing you're trying to figure out is, does the art that I have currently created, is there a big enough audience here such for me to build a big business? If the answer is yes, then boom, we're right into the calendar, okay? And you have the same marketing problem all the rest of us do, right? You have to start marketing consistently and doing everything you're doing, and the business will grow because we know we have a subject matter. If the answer is no, does that mean you're a crappy artist? No. Does it mean you're a crappy photographer? No. It means whatever you created, there is not a big enough market for it. There are not enough people out there that want it. I don't want you to have a hobby. I want you to have a business, okay? We have some insanely talented artists, and I'm not going to pick on any of them because if I bring up some of the subject material, I totally will. But beautiful work on one tiny little niche. And it's like, there are 13 people in your hometown that find this interesting. You are not going to build a business on this, okay? And to be honest with you, this whole thing is what they should have taught in art school. It's what they should have taught you in art school. That's what they should have taught you in photography school. Yeah, great, you know how to use a brush. Yeah, great, you know about all the masters and who is great and what, and you can name that the Sunday afternoon on the island of Grand Jate, or however the hell you pronounce it, right? Pointillism, amazing, Syrah, incredible, whatever his name is. So, look, this is what they should have taught you if you want to not be a hobbyist, okay? If you don't want to have to listen to what your mother or mother-in-law said, this is just going to be a hobby for you, this is the playbook, right? This is what you need to execute going forward. And so this represents our latest and greatest thinking as a business at Art Storefronts, and it's what we have a fully hosted service to do. But even if you end up signing up, it's what you need to do too, right? And the whole point is, if you feel like you've hit that MVT, minimum viable traction, where you're selling enough of the subject matter and material that you have, you're good to go. Okay, you're good to go. All you have to do is just get more eyeballs because you know you have a product the market wants, right? Like your restaurant is working. All we have to do now is open the restaurant in 50 cities across the United States. So that's sort of the mental model of where we are. And I realize that there was so much of what we were doing as a business at Art Storefronts. Like we were teaching you all these various different things and putting all these various different things in the calendar. And there's a lot of people that are skipping steps, right? And we got to go back and fix those steps. And those steps are so important. And don't take it as a sales pitch. It doesn't matter if you ever do business with Art Storefronts. It does not matter to me. It does, but you know what I mean. You have to get these things right. You have to get these things right. And if you don't get these things right, I don't know how you build a business in today's digital context. I really don't. And let me tell you, you know, and Shay, you're in the upper right-hand corner of my Zoom box. So we have photographers, insanely talented, okay? They have huge portrait businesses, and competency with the camera, proper glass, best cameras, nailed, okay? Subject material, not resonating, right? It's just not the business, like grinded. I'm talking about this one person in particular, we're helping him, but this guy grinded for an entire year and he sold like $3,500, right? And I sat there and I looked at it and I was like, we effectively wasted an entire year of that dude's time. Now, it wasn't wasted because he learned these skills that he's going to be able to apply, but we effectively had him waste a year of his time marketing and banging his head against the wall and sending emails and posting on the socials and running live art shows. And guess what? The product wasn't there. The product was not there. He had a product that the market didn't want. And so if we would have stayed on the chart and we didn't hit the sales, we would have been like, hey, this is done. You did not hit the minimum viable traction. The market is telling you have a problem. We got to go back and do a rapid day test to get on some other stuff, right? And so this guy in particular, and again, I'm not going to throw him under the bus and use his name, but it shows the update and thinking that we have. He's like, okay, I'm going to go out for the next 30 days and I'm going to shoot 30 different types of subject material. I'm going to post all of it to my Instagram at the end of the month. I'm going to see how many likes, comments, and shares I got because he actually has like a decent social following. And I was like, that's really good idea. That's really good thinking. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put all 30 images up into a store and we're going to have a live art show where he's actually going to have some of these things printed out small. And then you're going to show them off one by one and we're going to see what sells. And you know what? It's just taking shots. It's looking to see what is the subject material that resonates. It does not mean you're a crappy artist or a crappy photographer. It just means the subject material you picked is crappy. And I know there's nobody on this call that says, I just create what inspires and what I love, right? And what fulfills me. And while I think that's incredible, that is not a job, okay? That is not a job. That is a hobby. The number of artists and photographers in this world that just create whatever inspires them and makes them happy and makes a lot of money is probably lower odds than winning the lottery. And that is just the truth of the matter. You guys are talented creatively, right? But you still have to obey the fundamentals of business. And that is where Art Storefronts has been off the most in the previous. And now where we're really dialing in and we're going to put everything, and we have to adjust things, right? Like some of those numbers, like, you know, someone has 250 emails on a list, but those are not real emails. Those are nonsense emails. And, you know, so there's going to be a bunch of a different adjustment. But I think that chart fundamentally is what the business needs to be. And you know, what I always say, too, that I love, and they should have taught this in art school, too. Pablo Picasso, when he died, had 45,000 unsold works in his inventory. 45,000, okay? What do you think that dude was doing? I'll tell you what that dude was doing. He was on, I lost my little chart. Is it still up? He was in a rapid day test. The test failed. No, he went back and did the rapid test again, right? Like, you know, he kept doing it. And I think fundamentally, it's a skill that I see, you know, we have 5,500 artists and photographers on the platform, and some of them are doing extremely well. And we study very closely what they do. And this concept of like always trying new subject material from time to time, for some reason, it's like fundamentally built into their DNA. Some of the most successful ones just do this naturally. And don't get me wrong, some have just hit their stride and they have their groove and they only do their one thing. But you know what? They're making multiple six figures a year. They know what they're doing. They've earned the right to skip that chart and do whatever the hell they want. For everyone else, though, you've not earned that right, right? Like, I want you to have a business that maps to the revenue expectations that you have for the business. And for most of you, that's not just a side hustle, right? Like, we would like to pay our bills and support our families and take care of things. So that represents the latest, the greatest, the most updated thinking. For anybody that does sign up, you can ask the outreach team on the phone, but we do totally have that service. And I'm fired up about it because, you know, ultimately every single solitary one of you on this call doesn't want to do any marketing at all. And I get that. And I totally get that. That's every artist. And there is an opportunity to do that. It's called the gallery relationship. and they take 50% of your revenue, and they don't tell you who's buying your art. And the number of artists and photographers that are earning a living on the gallery relationship, if you took 100 artists, it's less than 1%, okay, that are truly feeding their families and living a sustaining life on selling through the galleries, because that is an exploitative model. It is a tenant-farmer relationship, and it is not a road to success in the long term, right? There's no way they should be taking 50%. So yeah, I feel like I really got stuck on my side tangent, but I like that mind map, okay? And that represents the latest and greatest. So on to the Q&A portion. And how do we do that? If your camera's on, you're one of the brave ones. All you have to do is raise your hand. I'll see you have a question. We can unmute you, bring you on. For everyone else, at the bottom of the Zoom window, there's this like little smiley face reactions button. You click that thing, it gives you a way to raise your hand digitally speaking. That lets me know, hey, this person's got a question, and then I can unmute you. You can come on, ask whatever you like. In terms of, oh, I didn't hide the self-view. I know that gets crazy sometimes. Hold on, where is it? Hide self-view, sorry. You can see Haley's back. She's got her hand up. So that lets me know you have a question. If you want to turn your camera on, great. If you don't want to turn your camera on, fine. I hate being on video. I'm sitting here in sunglasses on. Look ridiculous. So you can also throw questions in the chat. And if you are one of the ones that's watching on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, everything, we're not streaming on Instagram because you can't do that, but Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I will see those. I will answer those too. Haley, you're up first. Welcome back. Go ahead.
Hiya.
Hiya.
Quick one.
Yep.
Quick one tonight. In your experience, is there a difference in what the American market wants in terms of product to the European UK market?
No. I mean, there's always going to be like little geographical nuances and this, that's, and the others, but you'll never know until you start testing. And reverse engineering is really, really hard. It's not, when I say reverse engineering, so the questions I always get, what are the best-selling sizes? If I just know the best-selling sizes and I put the best-selling sizes in, then I'll win. What are the hottest subject materials? If I just know the hottest subject materials and I just start creating those, I'll win, right? Like, that never works.
No, I'm kind of asking whether Americans like Disney-colored art and the Europeans like more somber stuff. It's that kind of question.
That is so funny that you bring that up that way, and I'll tell you two reasons. One of our really successful photographers used to be like long exposure at night, industrial heavy bridges in a certain geographical region in the United States, and had a decent business. He didn't have a great business. Turns out that guy also is fond of a certain theme park that might or might not be associated with a mouse. He started going into that theme park and taking photos, same type of photos of the rides, and his business on just that stuff is like well into six figures, and the theme park associated with the mouse doesn't care because they treat it as advertising. And so that's working. That's number one. Gets even weirder. Number two is that individual that I mentioned earlier, okay, that was grinding really, really hard, might or might not live in a various different coastal town in the UK, in which case he was walking the beaches of that coastal town and taking photos that were incredible in a certain color palette that was devoid of color. But you know what? It was too somber, it was too dark, and no one was buying it. So you just tied together the two things that I said, which is totally interesting. Do you know what I think, Haley? And I got to say this to you now because this is the third one you've been on. You're overthinking it, my dear. You need to start executing, start marketing, start selling, and you're gonna take your licks along the way. But that's how you're gonna learn.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Fundamentally, and you guys don't have any questions, and so I got to go on this rant, which I think is fantastic. We have this, what most would call a loudmouth, bloviating Yahoo here. That he's a professor at NYU. Okay, and I actually think the guy's a genius. Why am I blanking on his name? Calls himself Prof G. Scott Galloway. Okay, and the reason I brought it up is because I can see you're overthinking things, right? And this guy goes, one of his premises in life is like, we can relate everything in life back to our hunter-gatherer days, right? And so in the hunter-gatherer days, the men did the hunting, and you went out and you killed the thing as quickly as possible, and then you dragged it back to the cave as quick as possible because something was going to come and get you, right? And the women were the hunter-gatherers, right? And so the women would walk around all these various different areas, and I see your hand, Samantha, I'll get you next. And they would need to make sure that everything was not poisonous, right? Like, so they would touch these things and smell these things and hold them up to the light before they put them in their basket. And they would ask all those questions. That is exactly the behavior that we see in today's day and age between men and women. When I go into a retail store in the mall or anywhere else, you might as well turn over the hourglass because I need to get in and out of there in 30 seconds or I will lose my mind. Okay. I'm terrified. Get me out of the store. It's the hunter-gatherer thing. My wife will just all of a sudden start chatting up the salesperson. Do you have it in this color? Do you have it in that color? Does it come in any other sizes? What are the different materials? And I don't know where that comes from, but I think he is so right. So that you are being so measured and so thoughtful and taking like such an analytical version. And I'm like, that's not going to work this time. Get going marketing and selling, and you'll learn. All that stuff will become clear. All right, Samantha, you're up next. Go ahead, Samantha. And you'll need, yep, gotcha.
Hi. Question for photographers with regards to those live, the live showings, live art shows, right?
Yes.
The suggestion is to print because obviously our world is digital, or unless we're working in film. So the suggestion is to print off, obviously series. Otherwise, there's no physical product in order to show, right? So the
100%.
suggestion would be to print off the series in all different kinds of variable sizes, and then do it that way and kind of promote any other works that are associated to that series digitally and direct them to find it online. Is that the suggestion?
So I want to answer this a couple different ways, and there's all kinds of news here. If my business was selling knives door to door, and I just hired you, Samantha, and I said, Samantha, I'm going to need you to use this territory. What would you show up when you knocked on the door with?
Knives.
So what is it that you sell?
Photos. Yeah.
Yeah. And so is a photo a JPEG that I show in my social, or is it real? Is it tangible? Can I touch it? Can I look at it? Do you know how often you guys break the rules on this? You guys, because you think you're creatives, not because you think you're creatives, because you are creatives, have certain powers of visualization the rest of us mortals simply lack. No, I cannot see a JPEG on your Instagram and visualize it on my wall. But when you get this, I can. But let me get my stack because I want to make this easy on you. Kids have been messing around with this. I want you to focus in on how small these are. Here's a wood print.
Okay,
it's a such and such,
question.
right? Here's a metal print. Look at how small it is. It's beautiful. It's reflective. It's ready to hang. You even have a special zoom on your camera that can make it really big. Whoa, look at the detail of that, right? So the point is that you can order a couple of samples. I have a green screen, so it makes that look circusy. You can order a couple of samples that are small like this, show these, merchandise these, which, oh, by the way, is really much easier to do than a giant one, and then let people know the various different sizes they can get them in, right? So that's key. But what you find, why these live art shows are so damn effective, put this down, is because it forces you to merchandise. And you're not merchandising. You haven't been merchandising. Don't tell me you've been merchandising. You haven't been merchandising, right? You don't have the 5 different media types. A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
Well, no, I have, I got cups, I got pillows, I got things.
Well, good for you. Yeah, good for you. But what I mean, you have to order samples and you have to show the sample, right? Like people need to form I need to covet the thing. I need to covet the thing.
Really, really specific.
Yeah. So you do the small sizes, which is just fantastic. And then also, my latest and greatest that I just taught all my customers to do this last week: have a bathroom art flash sale. Do you know what everyone has? Do you know what everyone has in their house? Do you know what everyone has in their house? Bathrooms. Do you know, unless you are really seriously independently wealthy, in which case I want to see the size of your bathroom just because I'm curious, but everyone's got tiny little walls in these bathrooms, right? And everyone's bathroom could use a tune-up, let's just be honest. Not mine, right? Because I'm dialed in. Definitely not yours. No, everyone's could. And so...
It's funny you say that because I just...
The bathroom art flash sale.
Private, personal touches in private places.
See, I love it. And like a lot of times, people don't buy just one. They buy 2. Yeah. Come to my bathroom art flash sale. It's going to be a real shitty time. No, but I'm serious though. I'm serious.
I get it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. The size was really my curiosity.
So when are you going to run one? I want a commitment out of you. And we're all going to tune in. So what's the Instagram profile? Let's go share it in the chat. When are you running it? When are you running it, Samantha? When are you running it?
I'll do it. I'll do it. I swear. I swear. I'm
Yeah.
in the process of figuring out because my Instagrams are split too. Instagram's another whole thing that just my brain wants to die.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've got an answer for that one too.
Yeah, because I have, I started a personal Instagram, which is my work, and then I have a studio and such that's split too. So I have another Instagram account that I've just started that's the studio, and they're all over the place. It's like, trying to keep up with all these, different websites and different work websites, studio website, art website, and they're all over the place.
They're like children. They're like children. Each one is an additional one you have to watch. Each one is an additional one you have to watch. So yeah, that can be problematic. When in general, try to simplify.
Thank you. Yeah.
Where are you from originally, by the way? Is there an accent knocking around in there?
Aussie.
So Aussie, but you've lived here long enough that it's almost gone.
Pirates. Yeah, long time, 20 some odd years now.
Say I know. Long Say I know.
I know.
Oh, it's still there a little bit. I know. They do that like R roll. It's so hard to do.
No.
Yeah.
And Coca-Cola. That gets everybody too.
Yeah, classic. All right. Well, I want you to commit to running the live art show. Really, I do, and I want you to actually do it.
No, I'm with you. Blah, blah, blah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, they already found your Instagram. It's in. Oh no, you posted it in there. Okay, good. We will check out the photo graffiti. Other than that, you good on questions?
No, thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you. No, that's good. That helps. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We're gonna be following. I want to see that live art show. You kind of have to psych yourself up for the first one. So we're constantly in the encouragement business on the first one for sure. All right, Carl, you're up next. Go ahead, Carl.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. You were speaking about websites, and I'm in the business part. I'm not an artist. I'm in the business part. I represent various artists, but having a website, how do you get your website promoted to where people can see it? I have it on my business card, but is there another way to promote your website?
Are you talking about your website as an artist representative, or are you talking about like a website that has all your artists that you represent on it?
The artwork that I have that I have the various artists that I represent on it.
Yeah. So I mean, at a macro, it's just marketing, right? Obviously that's a loaded term, but in general, marketing. You need to be capturing emails all year. You need to be emailing regularly. You need to be posting to the socials. You need to be running sales when the time is appropriate. You need to be running those live art shows, interviewing the artists, doing all of that stuff all year long. You do all that collectively. Emails come in. You gather more emails. After you get over a certain threshold, you start running ads on Facebook and Instagram to warm audiences. We can get into that later if you want. And all of that collectively is how the traffic grows, how the email list grows, how the social following grows, and yes, the sales grow year after year after year.
Thank you.
Yeah. Very cool office, by the way. Between the Tutankhamun vibe and everything else going on in there, I approve. It looks like a great place to work.
I love it.
Yeah. Thanks, Carl.
All right.
All right. Who else, guys? Questions? There's no way it only could be. Okay. All right, Beverly. I see it. I caught this one. You're up next. You have to unmute, Beverly. You'll have to click the mic icon. You'll find it. Bottom left-hand corner is usually where it is. I don't think you're on your phone. Are you? No. Yep. Gotcha.
Okay, thanks. All right. So I haven't done anything. And actually, I was going into a homeless shelter tomorrow, but that didn't work out because I got too much of my writings. So I'm trying to figure out, I write poems. I haven't photographed anything. I haven't done anything at all. I don't know. And I've got a heck of a good story behind why I got into art, this type of thing. So I don't know where to start.
Okay. And have you attempted to sell the art at all?
No.
So no, never. You just created a bunch of it, but never attempted to sell it.
Yep.
The easiest way is to try and do a local fair show in the area you're in. By the looks of your background, you have plenty of inventory. You're ready to go. So it can be, a formal art show or craft fair. It can be a farmer's market. It could be something at a local brewery. It could be any of those things. And getting a show where you get into a booth with all your works and attempt to sell them. Because step number one, you have to figure out whether or not they're going to sell, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's what I would say. But I'm a little concerned. I mean, you're about to get into a homeless shelter?
Well, that didn't work out too good either. So I was in one like last month, but it's I don't know. So
okay. Well, I think in terms of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we need to get a stable roof over your head. Step one.
Yeah, I don't have a place for this, but do I need to I need to get into a show first and not.
That's the easiest way. Like if you had a decent social following, you could run a live art show, kind of like I showed you in the demos, and say, "Hey guys, I'm formally launching my art business. I've never done it before. Here are the pieces. No reasonable offer refused," and then try and sell them that way. But that's for most people, it's easier to find a local area for a show. This wasn't true a year ago, but now COVID is kind of dissipating. So,
and my pieces are huge. Some of them are huge.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if they're portable enough to do a show.
Well, at least the ones I see behind you are definitely portable enough to do a show. You got to get them in front of some eyeballs somehow, right?
Well, I was also thinking about. I live down the road from Celebration in Florida, which is the Disney right out, where Disney is. And I was thinking about going out and just painting because my technique's a little different and I always get a lot of attention when I start painting.
Yeah.
But I don't even have a website or anything else like that.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Step one, you don't need a website. You don't need a bunch of frilly anything. You need to get the art in front of strangers' eyeballs. So yeah, I would load up what I could in the car, go down to that, Celebration, have all the artworks behind you set up, do some live painting and let them know nothing nailed down is permanent. Everything's ready to go. Have some prices ready to go. If people ask you, hey, I'm interested in this, what does it cost? Quote them a price. If they're like, that's a little bit too expensive for me, say, what would you pay for it? And then shut up and see what they say. And then start negotiating from there. Yeah. Thanks, Beverly.
Thank you.
Got to get in front of eyeballs. That's just what you got to do. Okay. Thank you, Juan or April. So Shay. Sometimes I don't see all the cameras. It'll go Shay, and then I'll get Brian. Shay, go ahead.
Hello. I guess I've been an artist all my life since I was a kid. Then it's kind of become like not a job in my head, but also like I don't know. I guess it's like appreciating my skills in a way that like is I have enough not self-esteem, but you know what I mean? It's like you can actually see that not everybody can do that. Even like I noticed with the camera more recently when I've been into light and studies of light. And like, I feel like when I use the camera and I like look into the iPhone screen or the SLR, and it's like I can capture details and information in the light. And I think like there was a lady on like one of these maybe last week, but she done this whole thing on aesthetics and like just the nuance of like experiencing reality and like what everybody's overlooking of like, wow, this cup of coffee is beautiful, and you look at it closer and there's like you can see the particles of like water vapor like evaporating from it, and it's like, whoa, this is so much more than the coffee, or like that kind of vibe. And like I guess I think, and I have ADHD, so it makes it really hard to do the business connecting up with like the kind of, wow, I'm a sentient being,
Yeah. Have you tried to sell any of the work?
I did at art school, but I done stuff like kind of like the stuff behind me.
Yeah.
This was like me trying to do commercial, like this kind of stuff.
Yep. Yeah. So the exact and I know where you're going in your mind. You're thinking about all the reasons the art is awesome and like incredible, and these unique perspectives you have, which you might have and you might not have, right? You'll never know unless you attempt to go and sell it, right? The advice is the exact same for you. Was it Beverly? I think it was Beverly. You got to find a local place where you can set up a booth, or you got to turn the camera on right now as soon as it's over. Or you can watch Samantha's show, which will be coming up soon, and then follow what she did, and then get the phone, turn it on, and be like, "Hey guys, it's Shay. Most of you know I've been an artist my entire life. I've got to clear out everything that I've got on these walls, see whether or not it would sell. Start showing off the pieces, talk about that inspiration and those incredible ways that you're seeing things, and see whether or not it'll sell. Otherwise, it'll always remain a hobby. Those are just the rules of capitalism. You have to sell it to people not named mom, dad, brother, sister, family, friends. Got to be strangers, and they have to pull the almighty credit card out of the wallet, or you take PayPal, you take Venmo, you take just about all of it, right? like check, cash on delivery, all of it. So that's what you have to do. And there's no shortcut. Otherwise, it's just going to be you talking about how awesome your art is. You'll never know. You'll never know otherwise.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But I want you to do it, Shay. Give it a shot.
Well, I'm gonna do it. I have signed up for YouTube. You know, when you do your live thing. So now I have I guess it's like content or like subject matter, like we were speaking about earlier as well. Of like I guess like the things I do, they will sell because people are always into nature.
But you don't know. You don't know that shit till you get it down there and sell it. That's the whole beauty of that first step, right? You have to get it in front of strangers and you have to see whether or not it'll sell.
So if I was to go on YouTube right now, because I've been approved, like it's been 24 hours.
You wouldn't have,
since they could.
Yeah, you wouldn't have any audience.
Yeah. So
that's the problem, right? That's why the in-person is like so much better because you're going to talk to like 40 or 50 people. Like if you have an audience already, then it's easier. But if you don't have the audience, you got to get it in front of the eyeballs, right? Like this would be much simpler if this was like 18th century England and we could just hook up the horse and the buggy and go into the town square where the market is and set up a booth, right? But it's today's day and age, so you got to just find an intelligent place where you can get that art in front of some eyeballs and let it rip. It's the only way you're gonna know.
Cool. Okay. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and we'll send a resource on how to validate your art that'll come after the fact, and yeah, that might help you out. Okay, Brian was next. Let me get Brian. All right, Brian, you're up next.
Okay. From what I've been hearing, the biggest attention grabbers is going to be Facebook and Instagram, correct?
I mean, what define attention grabbers, right? Are they both critically important platforms? Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They're image-driven platforms, and Instagram, I would say, is even a little bit more important than Facebook at this juncture.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that says that. I think if I don't know if you saw the presentation earlier, but there's like two big groups that do the reports every year. One's called Hiscox, which is like an insurer out of London, and then the other one's that Art Basel UBS Global, and they always survey all the biggest art buyers in the United States and the world. Actually, every single solitary year, the prominence of Instagram is growing more and more and more. Facebook's close, but the point is you need to be on both of them, and you need to be marketing on both of them. Now, are they the most important? Absolutely not. Not every business is the same, right? But it's when you zoom out of this place, that place, we're all just fishermen, and we jump in the boat in the morning and we drive to where the fish are, right? Right now, Facebook and Instagram have the fish, so we have to be contrarian about it, and we have to go where the fish are, right? Could you build a huge business doing 40 shows a year in person? Yeah, you could, but Facebook and Instagram will even help it get better, right? And especially when the business matures a little bit and you start advertising on the two of them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just finding trying to post stuff on Instagram is a real pain in the ass.
Oh, you tell me. Trust me. I know all too well. You could pay us to do it for you, but paying us to do anything up front when you haven't gone through my little mind map, right, doesn't make any sense. You have to do it. That's where it goes from being fun to being a job. It is a job at the end of the day. Making it as an artist, it's a job. There's going to be parts of it you love, creating and selling and getting that feedback, and there's going to be parts you don't love, right?
Marketing.
Yeah. It's so true. Right. It's so true. But yeah, stay at it. It's worth it to stay at it, right? Like, there's two things that plague every artist and photographer. One, marketing. Two, treating their marketing like a New Year's resolution. That's what everyone does, year after year after year after year. This is gonna be my year, right? And the marketing your art of photography business is no different than that gym membership. And you're going 5 days a week in January to the gym, and then mid-March comes along, you've been once, right? That is how you guys approach your marketing. And so it's actually funny because one of the huge learnings I've had sort of like in our evolution of this business is, and I'm not tooting my own horn as a marketer as I toot my own horn, but we're really good at marketing, right? And we understand marketing really, really well. And there's not a whole lot of people that are attempting to solve the problem that is, how do you market your art or photography? Okay. And so here it is. We have like the most insane education inside of art storefronts and like our little marketing vault, right? Like, how to market on Instagram, how to run a live art show, how to send an email, how to execute a sale. And I'm like, this is going to be great. This is going to be huge. Everyone's going to destroy things. We're going to be the biggest company in the world. and then it's crickets. And it's crickets because nobody wants to do it still. Just because we have the best stuff ever doesn't mean anybody wants to do it. So I realized that like 50% of what we do is have the best education, have the agency, have everything else that teaches our customers to market. The other 50% is a combination of carrot and stick, right? Like constantly encouraging them to do it, trying to hold them accountable, getting them fired up wherever we can, like having groups so that people will keep them accountable, and everyone quits right before the wins start coming, right? Like you're like, God, Instagram is making me pull my hair out of my head, and you're just going at it and going at it and going at it, and if you just would have gone at it for another year, you would have got there, right? You would have got there, but you quit right when it got difficult, and that's just what everyone does. And that's just the nature. That's just the nature of this business. So that's why we exist.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean.
Yeah. Facts.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. All right, Steve, you are up next. Go ahead, Steve. You still need to unmute, Steve. I can't hear you. You got to hit the mic icon, bottom left-hand corner.
Got it. Sorry
Gotcha.
about that.
No, all good.
First, before I forget, someone had said something about trying to go into homeless shelters, and I donate a lot to homeless shelters, but it's not a great place to exhibit because you're not going to get the people that want to buy your work. You're better off doing an exhibit, maybe at a restaurant or something like that, and say that a percentage is going to help support that homeless center. Anyway, my question.
Yeah, and I got some confusion there too, but I can't tell if Beverly was kidding or serious. But I think she was being cheeky, if I have to guess. She was about to move into a homeless shelter, not like display the art.
I took it the other way.
You took it the other way. So Beverly, we probably need some sort of an explanation in the chat. But anyway, yeah.
Anyway, so my question is this. My whole life basically has been portrait photography, and as I've gone around the world on assignment, I've had the ability to photograph at different places and create art at the same time, like the St. Andrew shot behind you.
Mm-hmm.
And that usually I exhibit fairly large, but when you were talking about having things that are less expensive and more expensive,
yes.
Is it legitimate to have a what am I trying to say? If I've got like 3 different size points and maybe on rag paper, on giclée,
Mm-hmm.
or on canvas, how does that work when you're having a limited edition? Is each size a limited edition, or does that destroy the whole thing about a limited edition?
No, not at all. I mean, people get upset with me when I say this, but
no, I don't have an answer. I'm not asking a question that I know the answer to.
No, okay, good. Okay, good. Yeah. No, so the whole thing and like the whole having the website set up correctly and everything that I went through, that's just it's just mass. It's just mass. It's mass that just work to sell products online when you have an audience that is the same as everyone else's audience, which is low end to high end, right? So once you understand that fundamentally and you have the prices for all of them, okay, this is number one, and you realize that you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life, and you realize that the socioeconomic bell curve is not fixed one way or the other, and you realize that people at the low end are just as important as the high end, you're already winning. That's number one. Number two, having the price points is all that matters. How you achieve it matters a whole lot less. Now, do I like having merchandise as a part of the offering? Yes, I do, because not everyone has wall space at all times, right? But for you, it doesn't matter. You could decide that the open editions are those images on paper, and that's what it works. And the limited editions are a hand-signed edition of 15 that are on metal that will only ever be on metal, and there'll never be any other ones, right? There's no magical rule to that whatsoever, aside from the fact that there are certain people that'll see like a $300 or $400 print price point and it doesn't blow their hair back at all, right? There's not any exclusivity to it or scarcity to it, and that's not something they're excited in. And then they see your limited edition for $1,800, hand signed certificate of authenticity, and they're like, "Ooh, okay, now we're cooking, now we're talking, right? Like that's what I want." Or the original one of one that's huge, right? That's huge, that sells for $10,000, right? Like, so having all of them and you've got the boxes ticked, and you're going to be adjusting it the entire life of the business, so don't worry. And then you just get going on the marketing, and you see what works, and sometimes you drop what doesn't and double down on what does, right? So that's how it goes.
I mean, because I'm basically recreating my front room gallery at the studio
Yes.
to encompass more of the fine art and less, really nailing down just certain types of portraits after the amount of years I've been doing it. I have a 2,800 square foot studio and, my own portrait park. So it's, it's this, I look at something that I can do that can be passive.
Yes, 100%. And it takes time to build, right? And it should be thought of as a separate revenue silo in your business. And the good news is that the majority of the people whose portraits you shot over the years probably have no idea you have fine art for sale, or maybe some do. Most,
that is true. Some do, because of the arts councils and all that I've belonged to.
Not all of them do, Steve. And if they do, they need to be reminded. They need to be.
Many do
ask me how long I've been doing this. Okay, I will show you 99 out of 100 service-based photographers that, for years, have these relationships. The know, like, and trust barrier has been crossed and then some. And they need art, and they have no idea you have it, right? And not only is it a valuable source of commissions, which end up coming in all the time, which, oh, by the way, is how you discover the new latest and greatest thing that is selling, is by having the commissions. And then also, like, wait a minute, we need to get some art. Why wouldn't I want to support this guy that I know and like and trust and have been doing business with for the last 10 years, right? Like, it is a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. And thank God you actually have a real job, which is a service-based portion of the business that will keep you sustained and give you the time, the air cover you need to grow the fine art portion, right? Which is tremendous as well.
That's good advice, because the average portrait client is anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 anyway. So they're in that price point that they can afford the art.
Doggone right. Let alone once you start capturing all the print business for the portrait clients. And I don't know if you capture that now or not. You signed up with us, and we're going to make that significantly easy for you to do. I mean, this is the. I got to get going on the rant here. You got me fired up on the rant. Okay, so one of my best friends, wife, photographer, that she is our resident for our circle of friends, portrait photographer. She nails her little outdoor location, and she books them 10 at a time while the light is good. Christmas cards, yes. She does some sort of festive holiday, pumpkin, carnival, whatever. And then she does some other Easter one. She has like her 3 or 4 times a year.
That was 15 years ago.
And I go down.
I can't deal with bunnies running all over trying to hump each other anymore.
I don't blame you. But the takeaway is, I go down there because my wife drags me down there and makes me do it. And my kids are running around doing the thing, and my wife is trying to cajole them and everything else. And what am I doing? I'm back there sitting on my phone scrolling through things, bored, right? If she would have just hired an assistant and got the stack of media types, and the assistant would have came up to me and said, Patrick, just to let you know, these pictures are going to be amazing, right? And because you're a portrait client and you're here, we have packages on printing. So I don't know who it is that you want to knock out. You want to knock out Mother's Day, Father's Day, maybe grandma needs one, grandpa needs one. Here's the introductory pricing. We're doing a special on these acrylic prints. You can get them at this, this, and this. Because you ordered today, here's the special. That's good for 48 hours. If not, no worries. I'm going to email you a couple weeks ahead of Christmas, because I know you're probably like me, last minute. I'm buying gifts. And I'll send you a link to the gallery and just let you know you can get any of the printing. And what changes there, Steve, is you right now are trading dollars for hours in the portrait game, right? You can keep raising your prices, but eventually you hit a ceiling in which your AOV is capped, and it's dollars per hours, right? And so you need to look for ways in which you can increase that AOV. And one of the ways you can increase that AOV is by charging prints. And every third sale, instead of just getting $10,000 per portrait session, which, by the way, that's really expensive, great work, you're instead getting $15,000 worth of printing. And then, because you have a digital archive of every single solitary time my family has come and seen you for the last 10 years, 10 years from now, when you send me an email saying, hey, it's Christmas again, just wanted to let you know I have the entire family archive. And by the way, here's the specials that I have. You will have my business, my printing business, for the rest of my life. My buddy's wife, it doesn't matter how many times I try to convince her. And in fact, I stopped because I think I emotionally upset her one time. I had a couple of drinks and she went and climbed a tree. True story, I'm not kidding. My buddy thought it was hilarious. But I don't want you to send me a gallery. I don't want to go to Casco or Walgreens or go find some stupid printer. I want you to tell me, here is my credit card. Send me the prints. They're wrapped up. I'm going to have someone else wrap them, and I'm going to go give them to my mother, or go give them to grandma or my mother-in-law, whoever it is, and that is a great gift, right? Then you have another revenue source in the business. And guess what? Because we integrate with our printers, you don't have to touch anything. Anything. Order comes in, done. Boxed. Shipped. Your logo slapped on the side of the box. Delivered. You touch nothing. It's glorious. Glorious.
You're starting to sound like an old marketing friend from PPA, Charles Lewis.
Well, I'm sure I'd love to have a beer with Charles. Tell him I said hi. Tell him I said hi.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I find I'm fired up for a Monday. All right. What else? Questions? I get going on that freaking portrait service-based tangent all the time, because it's essentially just trading dollars for hours. And I've talked to so many of you guys. Like, I had my one buddy, and great photographer, and killing it on the wedding business, husband and wife combo, and he lasted 6 years. And now he's back in real estate because he's like, I just couldn't handle the grind. They just chewed me out and spit me out every single solitary weekend where I want to be doing anything with family and friends. I was gone, right? He was making great money for wedding. He had the whole thing locked up, the photo and the video element. But I worry about that for you guys a lot, because you get to a point where you're like, am I just going to be doing this for the rest of my life? Like, how do I grow this business? And you grow this business by, one, building the fine art silo, and two, capturing that print revenue so you can get your AOV, your average order value, up, right? And if you do that strategically, and you even just let your current print customer, your portrait customers know, like, you already have such a leg up, because all of them will buy art if they just constantly know you have art. And every single solitary year, you email them a couple of times a year. If you really wanted to get sophisticated, you would get my wife's birthday, and you would know what that is. And then a month before my wife's birthday, you'd be like, hey, just in case you're lagging again, here's the entire archive. And oh, by the way, here's some of my stuff below. Can't wait to see you again on another portrait session. You can be doing that for the rest of my life. If I never moved, I'm going to keep going and getting these stupid carnival photos and whatever nonsense my wife orders for the rest of my life. Okay, until my kids move out of my house, and then she's going to try and convince me to do it, in which case I will put my foot down, because I am a man. Puts pants on 2 legs at a time, 1 leg at a time. I'm just kidding, but you get my drift. You get my drift, Steve. I get fired up about that. All right. What else? Questions? I love this one. I love this one from Facebook or from YouTube, and I already answered it. Is it well to Vargas Sandoval that posts this nonsense on YouTube? YouTube sucks for allowing this to happen, but you can't see it here, but Jay asked, and it's a great question, and I love this. Like, he was asking, like, how do you? I have a question about artist representation. What's the best way to go about hiring the people you need to get you to the next stage? And this is another one of those myths in this business, right? That you can somehow hire the people you need to get you to the next stage, which, by the way, what am I essentially? People you hire to get you to the next stage. But, you know, finding somebody that you think is just going to represent you and take you to that next level doesn't happen. The way that it happens is they find you because you've made so much noise, they already know you're going to the next level. And it's no different than what we're teaching and espousing. Like, you've got a market, right? Like, you know, how do you get into galleries? The galleries come and break your door down because they're like, oh my gosh, this art is amazing. And the only way that happens is if you're marketing like crazy and know what you're doing, right? So that's just how it goes. All right, Robin C. asked, I had a question about the various ways to accept cash. I have a website with Stripe, but when doing live shows or doing these virtual shows, how do I take orders? Take Venmo or PayPal. You know, our sites make it really easy. Subtle sales pitch incoming, because we have these live art show pages and they're custom built just to run live art shows, and you know, they take credit card right on the fly, which is awesome. But don't overcomplicate it. If you're going to run one, just do one. And you know what? We have another next 30 days here. Valentine's Day is about to come and go, big art selling holiday, as well as a number of others. So, you know, the most important thing that I want all of you to do is start taking some positive steps in the career. If it's sign up for us, great. We'd love to have you on board. If not, start doing some marketing. Don't talk about it. Don't contemplate it. Don't say, here's what I'm going to do. I wonder. Don't say I got to go get my logo or go get a business license or go get a bank account or go figure out my business plan. Sell some art. Get going on it, right? The motivation is one of the most important things we can do. It really is. But okay, what else? I'm trying to think if there's anything else I didn't mention. Yeah, Shay, woo, exactly, you. I want to hear about that live art show, Shay, that you ran, or I want to hear about you down in a booth somewhere where it's you in a booth selling the work, not talking about it, not talking about how beautiful that light is on the coffee cup, right? Because if I let you get away with that, you're going to be doing that for the next 20 years. And you're always going to wonder what would have happened if you would have got out there and did it. I'm telling you, I've done these things for too long now. I know every story. I've heard it all. I've seen it all. I've been there before. All right. So if you guys are just finding that out about us, don't worry about that. Number one, you're probably already on the email list. Number two, you know we're going to email you to death, okay? We have a little bit of a problem with email. You already know this. You've seen this. And so you can continue to discover who we are, what we do, how we can help you. For everyone else we've piqued your interest enough that these guys might know what they're talking about, I highly recommend that you do the demo process. It is our test drive. It is our getting behind the car and smelling the new car smell and opening the sunroof and turning all the buttons and knobs. And it's really easy to do. We've got buttons everywhere. April will throw it in the chat. There'll be links in the thing I send you after the fact. But it's an hour Zoom call, and they'll walk you through the pricing and the bells and whistles and show you all the marketing, all the awesome stuff we do behind the scenes, which is great. Kelly, don't listen to people that talk nonsense. Kelly says, I was worried about posting images to Instagram because I heard that they own the images once you post it. Complete nonsense, right? And that's right up there with the other one that the minute I put my workout online, everyone's going to steal it, download it, and print it and make millions. Yeah, let me know on that one how that one's working out for you. Like this business isn't difficult enough as this. Like there's a bunch of people out there downloading your image and going and making millions of dollars. I talked myself into a circle today. Hasn't happened. So I think we leave it there. I appreciate all of you guys. Come back and see me on another session, or maybe I'll see you on the inside. If you do end up requesting a demo and you want to learn more about like the agency services, my whole awesome mind map that I showed you today, which I'm super fired up to start executing on, they can tell you about that. And you can certainly avail yourself of those services when you launch. They will be super helpful to get you from 0 to 1. 0 to 1 is the hardest thing to do when you guys start these businesses. What do I think about selling art on Pixie Set or Instagram Store? Excuse me. I don't like selling art on anything but my own website. And again, don't take that as a sales pitch because quite frankly, I don't care if you do it on your website somewhere else or you do it on ours. The reason I want the transaction to go down on Home Court Advantage is because I get to retain all the information. I get to control the experience, right? And Pixie Set is just a marketplace like anything else. They take their cut. They don't let you know who the buyer is. And you're awash in a marketplace with 10,000 million other people trying to sell the same thing, right? Marketplaces don't work for anyone. You know, if you surveyed 1,000 people that are on Saatchi Art or 1,000 people that are on Fine Art America, come back afterwards and let me know how many of those people are making decent amount of money. They're not, right? I mean, I've talked to so many. I've barely even ever talked to anyone that's making any money. So I think Pixie Set is nonsense. Instagram is a little bit more interesting in the sense that the attention is there and a ton of people are there, but you know, they also want to control the entire world. And by they, you know who I mean. I'm streaming on their platform right now, and I'm extremely gracious about that opportunity. So I'm not going to say who but they want to control more and more and more and more and more of it. And it is a suboptimal art buying experience there currently. And so I would not do it. I would drive them to Home Court Advantage. But if you don't have anywhere else to sell it, it could be a decent way to start it. But we certainly don't advocate our customers do it. Some of them don't listen to me, and then they go and do it. And then they waste all kinds of hours trying to get it all up and running. And then they don't get any sales results. And they're like, I should have listened to you, Patrick. And I'm like, I know. Ooh, that's a good question, Summer. Yeah, Summer says she sees a lot of people selling thrifted or vintage work and prints of. How do you know what is sellable as public domain? There's rules for what's in the public domain and what's not in the public domain. There are a whole lot of people that operate under the easier to beg forgiveness than ask permission, charcoal gray area as well. You know, what usually happens is, you know, you start selling some of those things and you start making some money, and then you start making serious money. The cease and desist letters come. But I'm not a lawyer, so I can't give legal advice on that, Summer. But you know, you can approach it either way. I see plenty of people that actually do quite well, and I don't have any idea how they're getting away with it. That is their business, not mine. Not judge and jury and executioner. If you signed up for us and you started selling a bunch of that stuff and we got a DCA takedown notice, we would ask you to take it down. Otherwise, what you're selling is your business. So that's how we approach it, which is the best way to do it. And Dave, on YouTube, I asked a whole bunch of people on Facebook whether or not they could hear me, and they said they could hear me okay. So I'm thinking the audio issues on your end. But it's super frustrating because I have a gnarly audio set up, and I don't like it not working. But nobody ever calls me quiet, which is interesting too. I mean, loudmouth I get from time to time, and it's not unjustified, right? Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to leave it there. I'm out of gas. I appreciate all of you. I want you to have wonderful weeks, the rest of you, and hope to see you on a future session and or on the inside. Brian, you put up a finger. Is that another question or no? You're good. Okay. Keep posting on Instagram, Brian. Don't quit. All right. Don't quit. You'll get there. You'll get there. And we'll wait to hear about your live art show, Samantha. Okay. Okay. Yep. Coming soon to an Instagram profile that might or might not belong to Samantha. All right. Thanks, guys. See you again soon.